Easiest thing in the world. Well, awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for making the time to come out. I'm going to keep this short and sweet tonight, and leave some room for questions and answers. So I wanted to. I didn't have a chance today because originally we had Debbie who prepared this presentation. She was gonna present, and she had a family matter come up, so I'm stepping in. I've done these before, so no problem there. But I really wanted to gauge the interest in who is going to the NCAC career fair. So if you can throw it in the chat, let me know if you're actually going on Friday, because the big reason that we're doing this is because I know a lot of you maybe have registered for that on Friday. So in the chat, let me know if you're going to that career fair we sent out.
Steve?
Yes. Okay. We'll be going. Awesome. All right. A lot of folks are going. And we will be having our CWCT career fair in December. So just kind of a caveat that you'll be hearing one that we're doing in-house. We usually do a couple a year. But we really just thought it would be helpful for the folks that are in here who are interested in going, just to get a quick refresher. So I guess I'll start with just kind of telling in 30 seconds or less why I think this is important. For those that know me, I'm Steve Olson, one of the CWCT. Um, oh, and for resumes, we'll be hanging out for a little bit at the end. So if you want me to look at specifically the resume, but we'll also be able to get some feedback over the next couple days. So we'll provide some emails and stuff so we can take a look at it and give you some tips. So my story, for those that don't know me here, and let me try and link to my LinkedIn without ruining my entire presentation here. And of course, I've ruined my presentation. But I'll share my LinkedIn with you guys, so please do connect with me. And I can't guarantee that I'm going to have anything very interesting to say, usually, but um, I always mention it because the very first step in networking and something I'm going to talk about tonight is making sure you have a LinkedIn profile. So, a little bit about me. I work full time as a system administrator, work part time at CWCT as a program manager. I help try and run this show, run events like this. Been with them for a few years. And I've spent the last 5 years helping veterans in specific, but also first responders and all the folks in our program in helping them transition into cybersecurity, because it's not something super straightforward. Now, I don't specifically work in, I wouldn't say a cyber role as a system administrator. That's a function of my job. But either way, whether you're doing our program to get into cyber or IT in general, or you're trying to upskill, these are just the refreshers that we've put together that we know are important. And for some of you, and I'm looking at you, this is going to be like death by PowerPoint. There'll be a couple of slides that you're going to say that, and there'll be a couple where I know not looking at anyone specific. You do need to hear this. The point of us doing this is because we want to make sure that you feel prepared for the job fair and any others that you're going to go to. And if you're anything like me or many of the others in this room, and you're transitioning out of the military and the whole world of networking and career fairs is all brand new to you, you're in the right place. That's why we're doing this. But the caveat is that I am not the expert on resumes, and anyone that tells you they are, that's just their own opinion. Everybody has their own idea, but the more experience you have working with folks, I think the better you can get. Networking. I'd like to hear one person from the audience, if you can, and please feel free to come off of mute. I want one person in the audience to tell me what networking means to them, and not in the IT sense. And I will call on somebody if no one. Yes, Eric, come off mute and tell us what's networking.
Establishing relationships with personnel like in the field you're interested in.
I'll take that as an answer. I really like that. And Eric, were you in the military, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, Air Force.
Air Force. So I do think that, at least in conversation I've had in the past, in the military, if you're enlisted specifically and you want to get the next rank, you know what PT score you need, you know what job school you need to go to, you know what you need to do to get the next rank. And I think in this world of networking and IT, it can be rather nuanced. So appreciate that answer, Eric. I think that, again, for some of you, this is new, but I want you to keep this in mind. A vast majority of jobs are found via networking and LinkedIn. So when you go to a career fair, and you're talking to folks, you're getting on stage, you're putting on your best self, and we're gonna talk about the elevator pitch. But that first moment you're talking to somebody is how you could potentially get that job. And I get that question a lot because they're like, "Oh, I got the certs, but I'm still struggling." Your resume and your resume is important. I'm not going to say it's not. The interview is important. I'm not going to say it's not. But making that connection and putting yourself out there is paramount. And it is truly the way in which you get jobs in this market. And for those of you already employed in the market, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So thank you, Eric, for sharing that. I completely agree. So, easy stuff first. Okay. I know a lot of folks are currently looking for a job and it drives them nuts. 200 applications in and they're not getting any hits. You're applying on LinkedIn, you're looking at Indeed. And I have some resources I'm going to share at the end that I highly recommend you utilize if you want to increase your chances of actually landing something, maybe even one-on-one support. But it can be brutal. We get it. Interviews take practice. I know when I graduated college, I had a million interviews and I got, gosh, honestly, like one or two offers out of, and I applied to over 100 positions. And I ended up starting as a high school teacher right out of college after being in the military. Um, and it was slow but steady. Email address should be professional. I know this sounds this should go without saying, but if you need to make a new email, make a new one. I say this because I have to keep saying it because I keep seeing resumes with Happy Hippie or Funny Joe or mine. I love Pontiacs, so I have like 10 emails that have something to do with Pontiacs. It's not the place on your resume. Make sure it's well done. And I know some of you may have a resume you want looked at, but clean and properly formatted, ChatGPT can help. I'm not saying use it to write your resume, but in terms of formatting and all that, there's also a lot of things online that can help. If you're a veteran, Hire Heroes USA by signing up has free one-on-one assistance to look at your resume and help you find jobs. So again, there are resources out there. We're just here to share them. And be open about the fact that you're open to work. I'm not saying you have to go on LinkedIn and put that open to work image on there, but make it known that you're actually looking because you don't know who you're going to run into. For those that are in the program right now and came to our recent IBM event where they shared about some of their openings and working for that company, I met him at a happy hour just in my town. And there it goes. We networked, and now I said, "Hey, would you want to come talk to our students?" And now we're developing a partnership with that company. So, moving right on to resumes. And if you got questions, throw them in the chat. I have a couple of CWCT staff members here tonight that can help, but we'll have time at the end as well. So, resume. 10 years or the last three jobs. I hire folks all the time in IT here in North Carolina. And I'd like to say that I look at every single resume. I do, but if it's super long, it's not so great. 10 years or the last three jobs. So it's no different than getting an oil change. It's 10,000 or 6 months. If you say, well, you only drive your sports car once or twice a year, still be putting that full synthetic in there. Maybe a quarter Lucas if you can too. Um, Avoid those paragraphs. Always start with that first job. And please take screenshots of this PowerPoint. This is not just some PowerPoint quickly thrown together. This is a conglomeration of multiple career advisors and academic advisors at Purdue who helped put this together for us. I barely just edited it to make it my own. Make sure it's error free. Again, that should go without saying, but I see a lot of resumes that have a lot of typos. The resumes are considered to many as exclusionary. And when I say exclusionary, if you have a hot cyber job, let's say it's an entry level cyber analyst job, and they have 100 applications, what do you think the easiest way they're going to exclude certain folks from? Typos, 10-page resume, a cover letter with one sentence on it. So, I mean, these are. I'm not saying they're the most important thing in the world when looking into cybersecurity from the people that I've worked with and the people I've helped get jobs in the past, but it needs to be top notch. It needs to be clean. This won't get you the job, but it can get you excluded. So, again, that's my opinion, but it's also been the feedback from many people that have gone through this. Um, Let me stop there. So let me stop there for questions. So any and Josie and Fatima are graciously here helping me in the chat. Are there questions specifically about resumes that we might be able to answer? Oh, the
Um,
best ATS resume video. That's actually a really good one.
I was just about to say there doesn't look like there's any questions right now that somebody did share that YouTube video.
Perfect. Thank you, Josie. That's great. All right. So I went through, and I'm going to talk about this for the veterans that are in here. And I'm not speaking, if you're not a veteran, you're not a first responder, you're in a program, happy to have you here. If I say a resource, we've got resources for everybody, but if I hit on the veteran ones, we are 78% or something like that veteran in this program. So it's pretty heavy. So forgive me if I'm kind of pushing those resources. Um, 4 Block Career Readiness Program, I'm going to link them at the end, is a free 8-week course for veterans that are currently transitioning, who have recently separated, or have separated entirely many years ago. 4 Block Foundation, they're financed, I shouldn't say financed, excuse me. They're a nonprofit. They're funded by Fortune 500 companies, and they have an 8-week career readiness program I'm going to go through at the end, where each week you meet with a employer. So let's say week 1's Wells Fargo, week 2 is Truist, week 3 is Uber, week 4 is Duke Energy, and you will network and meet those people, add them on LinkedIn, and then you can ping them later about a job you might be interested in. But the first hour is also covering a topic like tonight, your resume, your interview. I bring that up to, one, share the resource about 4 Block, but two, they always really hit you hard with the elevator pitch. And I went through this as well when I transitioned, and I went through their program. And I went through 4 Block's program, so I can speak very highly. I'm not getting paid by them. I just think they are a legit operation. But you got to prepare that elevator pitch. It's like when you're in high school and you are practicing that speech about Othello or some, Hamlet or that Shakespeare novel your English teacher told you had to practice that speech for, and you're doing it in the mirror, you're doing it for your mom at home. I recommend to all of the folks that I talk to, especially those transitioning out of the military, to practice that elevator pitch. A hiring manager will notice if you have practiced and know what your pitch is. What are you bringing to the company? What is important to you? So, and that kind of goes into it. Share your expertise and credentials quickly but effectively. And that tip to me again is really honing into making sure that you're not wasting somebody's time with this long-winded, long explanation of your entire history, but it's, I'm very, very interested in working for your company because of this. I have the skill set for this job, and I have these credentials, and I have this background, and follow with something emotional. So I want to work for Steve's trucking company. I really appreciate your mission statement, and go ahead and recite that mission statement to them if you want. I have the skill set because I have my EC Council CEH, or I have my EC Council CHFI, and I have blankety blank credentials. And third, I have a passion for, I was going to go into national security or some sort of defense contractor. That doesn't work for a trucking company, but I have a passion for delivering goods across the United States. And I think that that's one of the most patriotic things you can do, is long haul trucking across the U.S. and bringing goods and services to people that I care about. I don't know. That probably didn't sound genuine, but the point here with an elevator pitch is that you're ready to do that. You can fine tune it to a specific employer, but if you're talking to someone on LinkedIn and you make a connection with them, you add them, you send them a note and say, hey, I found a job with your company that I'm rather interested in. Let's say it's a technical recruiter, and they set you up with somebody else. You got to have the elevator pitch ready if you're going to be on a Zoom call. If they can't help you, I always tell the students that I'm working with, it is totally okay, and I'll let any recruiter that's out there in this call or elsewhere tell me otherwise if you want. But it is okay if someone says, I can't help you, and you respond with, thank you so much for your time. Do you know someone in your organization that can? That's okay to ask. And the amount of people that I have talked to that have gotten a job because they pushed the recruiter very professionally and very politely and said, that's no problem. Do you know someone in that department that could help me with my questions? Go so far. Think about it as the classic job interview. Tell me about yourself. Just condense it. Make it short. Make it 30 seconds. Tell them why you want to work for them. Tell them why you're qualified. And tell them something emotional that kind of connects you to it. I know a lot of people do that. Practice it, practice it, practice it. If anyone actually currently works in IT, you also know that the struggles of 4 monitors right now. I'm Jack Trades. I'm currently enrolled in a cyber workforce training, CWCT, that allows me to expand my skills in the cyber industry while potentially earning industry recognized certificates. I would even change that to say not potentially, but do the ones that you've earned. I have 5 years experience as a junior analyst and 2 years as a cybersecurity researcher. Do you notice how I said researcher here? If a job says you need to be proficient at HTML and CSS, and you're currently going through a program to help, or you're currently studying it on your own through w3schools.org or something else, you're a researcher. You're practicing, you're studying. There's nothing wrong with that. And especially in the world of IT that's ever changing, your degree from 10 years ago it might matter, but if you've been spending the last 6 months studying SQL on your own, that matters. And a lot of tests will do a test for that anyway, so you'll be able to actually prove that. So you're not lying. It's simply just advocating for yourself in the truest way possible. All right, you guys are all going to a career fair. Or at least many of you are going to go on Friday. It's a Friday, right? I think it's in the morning and afternoon. I think the time slots were a little off. You're going to a career fair, this one, or you're coming to ours in December, you're going to another. It really does not matter to me which one you go to. I just hope that you come prepared, you come comfortable, you come confident, and you try again if it doesn't work out. It's all that matters to me. Log in early, make sure your technology works. At career fairs, no matter which one you're at, and I currently work as a system administrator for the state of North Carolina. It happens to me. I log into the Zoom meeting 1 minute before. My mic's not working. My camera's not working. Let's leave that for once you got the job. Make sure your technology's working. Present yourself in a polished manner. I'm not saying you have to wear a suit, but make sure your background is professional. Make sure that you're ready to go. Make sure you don't have no background on and you've just got family and friends walking behind you. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're in class or something like that, but you're there for a job. So try and consider that. Just because it's virtual doesn't mean you're not going to get hired. In fact, a lot of major companies, Fortune 500, and the partners that we have hire via virtually. You apply via LinkedIn and they interview you via Zoom. It's cheaper, it's more cost efficient, and they can get through more interviews that way. So imagine if you want to set yourself apart from others that are doing virtual interviews, you got a nice background, you're looking polished, you're feeling ready for it, you're going to be standing out. All right, here's a big one. Ask questions. Research the companies. You all know what companies will be there. If you're coming to ours or any other, you should know what companies will be there. Spend 30 seconds at the very least. And prefer you spend a half an hour, but advertise or research the companies that you're interested in. I cannot tell you how far it goes with a hiring manager when you don't just ask, what are your benefits? What's your work-life balance? How many remote days can I do? Those are very reasonable questions, especially in a stage 2 interview. An initial interview, asking a question about where they're going in the future, what kind of programs they're doing for diversity and inclusion, what are they doing for veterans, how are they prepared for, if you really want to go to shareholder notes, you can, but making sure that you've researched the company and ask questions relevant to it. How are you going to tackle the adverse effects of AI in the future at your current organization? That's not even the best question I could ask. I mean, if you give me a specific company, I'd like to think I'm going to go to the extent of trying to figure out and formulate a very good question. But try to pick one that's actually of interest to you so it comes off genuine. Cannot stress this enough. Make sure you have at least 3 questions for the employer. If you've never been to an interview before, it will go a long way. And if it's genuine, even better, because it shows not only that you're interested and have done the research on the company, but it shows you're truly interested in the role. And often saying, yeah, I want a job, I need money, is not quite enough. Showing that you want to work for that company in particular can go a long way. Listen, some of those questions that you can ask are going to come organically through being an active listener. When I'm interviewing often, at least years ago when I would interview for a role, I found myself just trying to think about what questions they could ask me, and the interviewer starts talking or the technical recruiter, and I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And I'm trying to think about my resume, my elevator pitch, but try and take a second back. I mean, you already did your pitch. They're interviewing you because you're relatively qualified, if not very qualified, right? So if you make it to the interview, listen to them because they're going to give you great subject matter to ask a really good question for. If you're interviewing for a cyber role and they're talking about what challenges the company has, you can pull a little bit of that out and ask a follow-up question to them. If they say, do you have any more questions for us? Don't worry. Ask the question. It's going to go a long way. Follow up. The amount of students I've talked to also that feel kind of iffy about an informational or a traditional interview that they had or an interaction they had at a career fair. I recently was working with a student not part of this program, actually. I would prefer to have used that example, but this one was so good. And they went to a career fair and talked to Waffle House. And I'll probably have to edit out that name when I record this later. But they didn't know if it went very well, but they followed up with a really nice note and thanked them for the conversation and taking the time to work with them. And they're not now they're hired, and now they're hired as a regional manager or division manager. Some of those words get mixed up for me, but um, they didn't hear anything. But they sent a really nice follow up and thanked them for their time. And they said, I'm so glad that you took the time to do that. Most students don't. Let's find a time to chat. Landed a job. Connect with them via LinkedIn and apply. So follow up is very important. That goes along with networking. Networking is not just growing your network and talking to people. It's thanking them for the time, even if they say they're not interested in you. Your company might not hire you for a role, and if you thank them and they have another role that's open, they're going to remember you, especially if you're part of their talent pool. And for those that are veterans in here, most Fortune 500 companies have a talent pool of sorts or a portal where you can create your user profile, and they pull from that. They may reach out to you. Dr. Ukanda, did you have a question or did I? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. I just,
No,
uh,
my apologies. I was just coughing a little bit. I was just coughing.
oh, okay, no problem. Sorry, again. Um, well, awesome. So connect via LinkedIn, send them a thank you note, and just make sure you're applying. Don't get discouraged when you're not getting jobs. Use your network. Um, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. It's not the end all say all, but I really recommend everyone in this room create a LinkedIn profile if you don't have one. And if you do have one, make sure it's good. And when I say make sure it's good, you don't know what that means. I'm going to give you a video at the end. We had a creative director from LinkedIn come out for CWCT and do a 1 hour webinar about how to make a perfect profile. So I'm going to give that to you. Instead of me telling you how to do it, I'm just going to let LinkedIn tell you what's the best one. They have analytics that show you what's going to land you the job. And nowadays, beating that algorithm on USA Jobs or on LinkedIn matters. So I'm going to send you that video. Informational interviews are important, and a large percentage, not quite half, but a large percentage of jobs are found via informational interviews, not just applying for the job. Just because you don't get an interview doesn't mean you can't network with somebody at a company and ask them, hey, could we find a time to chat and discuss possible roles? I know it might be exploratory in nature, but I'm very interested in working for your organization and want to find out a little bit more about the departments that might be a good fit for me. Oof. Someone sends that to me. I really want to talk to them. I put this one in there. Just go offline. Don't limit yourself to just this. You're gonna meet people out in the world. If you've got an extra $100 or $50 and there's a cyber fair or conference or something near you, nothing beats the in-person connections. So I say this, it's not available for everybody, especially those that are listening in. They're saying, Steve, I'm stationed overseas right now. I don't know what you're talking about. I get it, but it's hard to replace the in-person connections. All right. I'm putting this up there. I will let you all do your own Googling if you don't mind, as opposed to me putting a hyperlink in a PowerPoint, as if that's going to help you guys. I'm going to send these links out after this session is concluded. If you're a veteran, a lot of these are going to be very helpful for you. 4Block is the one that does that career readiness program that's 8 weeks. If you were in the military, you're eligible. Or you're transitioning within the next, you can chat me later. I don't want to speak for them. I think it's within the next 6 months, your ETS date. Hire Heroes is free for veterans. They will give you a one-on-one coach to look at your resume and help you search for jobs. Act Now Education is a very valuable partner of ours that fill in a lot of the gaps with the soft skills, where we focus on the hard skills. Save a Suit's free for veterans. You get a free suit. Boots to Books is an amazing one. They have a webinar that goes through all sorts of resources. And I did link our YouTube, but I'll put it in the chat in a second. Vicar said they have a wait list currently. Shoot me a message after this, Vicar, and we can talk. Sorry to hear that. There's more than one place where they have suits for veterans. So please, I'm going to put my email in the chat after we get down here. There's a few other resources if they're on a wait list. But great to hear that. And our YouTube channel, I know we have a long hyperlink, but we have done so many webinars with industry partners and LinkedIn and resumes and federal resume workshops. And I'm not the end all say all or the expert. I'm just somebody who has helped hundreds, maybe I can say thousands now, veterans, transverse this journey that they're going through in this transition. With that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Did I stop sharing my screen? I think I did.
Yes.
When I have it's funny because once I have the zoom up, I like don't know what I'm looking at. I'm going to keep it recording for a little bit now, and then I will turn off the recording if you have questions you'd like to ask not recorded. But while I still have the recording going, are there any questions for the go to the group? Eric, hit me.
Hi, Steve, I was wondering about the fair this Friday. If we haven't started our cohort yet, like mine starts in October, should we wait till December or should we just go for the practice?
I think you should go. I think that kind of goes in line with um, being a lifelong learner, believing in continuing education. I mean, using those lines is not just a line. I mean, truly, you're signing up for more hands-on learning in the field of cybersecurity, and you try and take in what you have. I think in this job market too, there's an increasing amount of because of like this virtual workforce, Eric. There seems to be a lot more employers who are getting more lead time from their employees, and they have more lead time in knowing what roles they have available. And because more roles are gotten through networking and not applying to jobs anyways, I don't think it hurts to make the connections because those are the connections you're going to be able to rely on in 6 months or a year or whatever when you're ready to actually start actively searching and trying to land something. So I would absolutely encourage you to go, even if you're just signed up for a program. I would encourage anybody in this call to apply for a job that requires a proficiency in something that you're actively researching and learning. I mean, I think so much of it is just selling yourself and then, leaving room to learn later. That's not to say lying on your resume, but um, I think veterans in specific, and any veteran out there who wants to correct me can, have a habit of underselling their qualifications. So, Eric, I would absolutely encourage you to go.
Thank you.
Sure.
For this Valentine, you can do.
Dr. Ukandu, I'm sorry, you're a little quiet for us. Do you mind speaking up a
Yes.
little bit?
Yeah, I just have a little bit cough. So, but are there on the job apprenticeship out there, like Purdue on the job apprenticeship?
You're asking if there's apprenticeship programs out there?
Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now apprenticeship programs are a little bit different. Um, Oftentimes they're through your state's works program. So depending on what state you currently reside in, a lot of the apprentice programs are going to go through your state program. But I will. Oh, Eric's already sharing apprentice, aren't you? I think there's two P's, right? Apprenti.
Yeah, I think so. I think I spelled it wrong.
No, that's fine. But no, there are some resources out there. I don't think I'm going to be the right person to answer that question. I work with NC Works, where I help folks get it through their pipeline there. But apprentice programs isn't something that we have a partnership with formally right now. But it's something that I highly recommend that you do a cursory search on the internet to look for which ones you're qualified for, and also check with your local state government because in North Carolina, our NC Works program is how we do the majority of our apprentice programs. So I just refer people to them. But that's probably not the answer you're looking for, Dr. Ukandu. But with where we're at in our program right now, that's my best answer.
No, you answered my question. Not necessarily for my own benefit, but for the education and knowledge for everybody.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate the question. That's great.
Thank you.
And Chris, thanks for the kind words about finding some value out of that. I would encourage all of you to put your LinkedIn in the chat if you'd like to connect with each other. That helps you grow your network. It helps you see who's working for a company. There's a large amount of people in this program that are already working in IT and cyber. So networking within yourselves it just doesn't hurt. I'm going to put mine in here one more time. And I'm also going to put my resume in here. My resume. I'm going to put in my email. If you are interested in sending your resume to me, I am happy to look it over and give you feedback. I'm also happy to forward that to the career advising staff here at Purdue. I say here at Purdue. I work at UNC Charlotte, but here at Purdue, um, that's the main college that runs this program, who I work for part-time. We can take a look at it and get you some feedback. But if you're a veteran, please use Hire Heroes USA. It's a free one-on-one coach to help you with your resume and look for jobs. I mean, we'll talk about a leg up. All right, I appreciate everybody sharing their LinkedIn's. Vicar, hit me.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so you said you were gonna share the LinkedIn, how to make your profile more professional. Aren't you you said you were gonna send that after this presentation?
I sure
Like
am, but I will link it right here in the chat. And I just refer to it. Not many people have watched it, but it's a lot of people came to it, and I just reached out to LinkedIn to a friend I had there, and they came out and did um, here it is. Got it.
I'll check it out. And also, if you don't mind, can I send you my resume to after this
Yeah, of course.
presentation?
I'm going to put my email in the chat one more time, even though some of you maybe have it, but please do. With the caveat that I'm not the expert on resumes. I'm just pretty good with them. But I don't know anyone that would call themselves an expert. Everyone has a different perspective, but I think it always helps to have somebody else look at what you've got, especially if you're actively looking.
Right.
So I just put the link in the chat. Did I? I think I did.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
YouTube link, but I'll send it out afterwards. But it's a really good presentation, honestly. She was very thorough for over an hour on how to set it up perfectly. So I would
Right.
watch it because a good LinkedIn profile is sadly, well, I shouldn't say sadly. I shouldn't say that out loud, but it is how a lot of jobs are found. And I say sadly just because I mean, it feels like it might put some people at a disadvantage, but it just truly is normal these days for a lot of employers to post their jobs on LinkedIn and then for you to apply on them.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Calais, and forgive me if I said your name incorrectly. It looks like Calais.
Can you hear me?
Calais, are you with us? I'm having trouble hearing you there.
How about now?
Maybe I'll turn my volume up, but I don't think I can hear you very well. Can you try talking again?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, but I've got the volume all the way up. I can't hear very, very well. I hate to do this to you, Clay. Do you mind putting your question in the chat or something? I'm sorry that I just am having trouble hearing
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. I can do that. No worries.
And if you want to try switching, it sounds like your mic might be on your webcam or something like that, as opposed to um, something else. I'm not sure. Augustine, what you got? The Batman
I
symbol.
just check. Yeah, I would take it off because it's not
No, I like
professional.
it. No, this ain't a career fair. I kind of dig it. So this is a great spot
Uh,
to feel safe to show your. I'm a big Batman fan, so you're in the right spot.
um, I saw your LinkedIn. I just took a look at your LinkedIn profile, and it's about a system administrator. And I wanted to ask you, how did you go about becoming a system administrator? Because I'm in the program doing the Linux and the A plus. But I just wanted your feedback, your experience, tap into your knowledge and see how I can move from there. Because that's my go-to.
Well, that's a really good question. I think that I am for somebody with a resume where they have a degree in cybersecurity and then a master's in cybersecurity and every cert in the books, and they landed the job. I'm the opposite. So if that's the trajectory someone's on, I'm probably not much help. I'll tell them that they're in a good position, but I think that I have been relatively successful in my career because I've been open to learning new things. I studied, if you're looking at my LinkedIn, you'll see I have a degree in environmental studies with a minor in geology, a master's in environmental assessment and engineering. I was doing GIS and I took a couple classes in my grad program that dealt with Python and map making and IT. I thought it was super cool. So I started doing my own learning to learn SQL and HTML and CSS because I knew that SQL was really in demand for doing like SQL databases and all that kind of stuff. And I looked for a job. I didn't have certifications. I took my A plus a long time ago, but and my Sec plus, but I didn't have credentials that were active or that were very into it. But I networked with the people at my organization. I asked to shadow folks, and I made a couple connections within the IT department. And when a position came open, I asked them if they would let me know, and they did, and I applied and I got it. So I'm probably not a, yeah, I see it's rough out there with the sysadmin approach. I do think that it is, at least in my experience, it's been beneficial for me. And I'm in my mid 30s, so I'm not like an expert on an entire career, but it's okay to look at positions with a company that you want to work for that isn't necessarily the job title you're looking for. I don't know if I would have gotten a sysadmin job right away, but I got in with a different position and moved into this one. Um, that's maybe not the best advice in the world, but I know one thing I've always sold myself on, Augustine, is if I'm actively learning something. I applied to this job, and the preferred qualifications was proficient in like 10 languages. In like 2 years, there might have been one of the languages, and I don't even think it'd been out long enough for you to have been proficient that long. Did did it just recognize I put my hand up and it raised my hand for me? Did you see that?
Yeah, no, like soft Zoom, and these kind of softwares are being weird these days.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's a cool feature, but it creeped me out. Um, Anyways, I guess what I was saying was, I mean, I told them I'm not proficient in SQL, but I was actively learning it and felt confident enough to do an assessment. And I put that in my cover letter, and they gave me an interview. So I think for me, I have rode on my confidence and my network of people who've given me really good advice. Because without a network and without selling myself, if I look back 10 years, I just would apply to jobs and I just didn't hear anything over and over and over again. So that worked for me. But honestly, my best answer would be that for the majority of folks I've worked with, by having a good LinkedIn profile and talking with people and having informational meetings, going to webinars, going to cyber threat briefings that are live on LinkedIn, that is where you meet the right people. So if you graduated from one of our paths and you're just shooting your resume out in the dark and nothing's working, you're not the only one. That's pretty common. Uh, but if you're actively on LinkedIn, you're part of specific groups on LinkedIn, and you're meeting people in the industry, and you're asking for information about jobs to their employer, and you're still not having luck, then let's talk because we're missing something. So, and that's not a shout out to anybody in particular, but that's just been the experience with the many student veterans and students that I've worked with in this program and here at UNC Charlotte. Be confident in yourself and don't undersell yourself, please, because the most important thing that a job employer is going to want from you is to know that you're going to be a positive team player and you're going to be a pleasure to work with and you're willing to learn what you don't know. And if you make that known, I'm more willing to talk to you than I am with someone just with a really long resume who just didn't really want to have a conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Steve, I don't want to jump in and interrupt you, but just for some of those that may not have that veteran or military background and status that are looking for some additional assistance or some help, I highly recommend just going on Google on the state that either you are currently residing in or if you're looking to relocate, and just put in something simple like your state and technology nonprofit organization. So like here in Indiana, we have one that's called TechPoint. And they're based out of Indy, but our state has a cybersecurity initiative to fill tech and cyber positions within our state. So this particular organization has various partnerships with internships, apprenticeships, externships. They have it for adult learners, they have it for college students. So that's something that I highly recommend. Just off the bat, I was able to find a couple for Virginia, Texas, Ohio, North Carolina. So just do something like that and link up with them. You might have to sign up for newsletters or things of that such, but that is also a good place to start if you don't have that access to the veteran and military resources.
Couldn't agree more, Josie. And I thank you for sharing that. I linked Josie's right on the ball. I linked a chat we had as well about federal jobs in particular, veteran or not. If you're looking to get a job on usajobs.gov, You don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to someone like Hope that we had out here who knows how to navigate that algorithm that USA Jobs does. And because that is something that I'll be honest with all of you that are on this call. I have not been able to land a federal job, and I used to try. And I think knowing what I know now, maybe I'd have a better shot, but that sure frustrated me. 5 months left, but her first three offers came from people who should build a rapport with. Yeah, I mean, you're saying the thing I hear over and over again. I'm just trying to stress that as much as I can, that it's building a relationship with people is how you're going to get the job. We are an excellent academic program, but we cannot do that for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off. I'm not closing us out. Oh, Clearance Jobs. We have a great partnership with them as well. Actually, we have several times they've come out to talk to us. So we have recordings on our YouTube channel as well of Clearance Jobs coming out and talking about how to navigate their website. That is especially important for those out there that have an active security clearance or a top secret clearance or have the ability to get yours back. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I know we've got more questions, but I'm just going to stop it in case we just want to have a more informal chat.